Hello traders and welcome to the channel. In this video I'm going to be backtesting the BlakBox algo. Now just before I do that, let's jump over to the live accounts and just have a look at the results for December so far. So I'm probably not going to run it for the whole of December. So you can see we've got a nice profit on this live account. Let's look at the other one, and we've got a nice profit on there as well. So only a couple of losers so far this month. It's been a very good month. This week is in particular, yesterday was an amazing day. On the aggressive settings, as you can see I'm running here, we did get dynamic risk on, so it was a nice big winner yesterday. So you can see quite a lot of profit so far this month. Right, let me jump back to the demo. So before I do the backtest, a couple of things that you probably noticed. This is the test version, and you can see that's dated today. I've literally just made this morning. I've added a candle timer and I've fixed a couple of bugs. So you will notice that on VPS the text is quite spread out. So if we go up here, we've got some new inputs. Okay, so you can put it into VPS mode. Okay, and set that to true, and it's going to rescale the text, and you can see that looks much better. So for those of you who have noticed that the text looks a bit weird on your VPS, that should be fixed now. I've also moved the position of the QR code and the user guide, and you can actually hide that as well. If you already know what the user guide is, okay, you can go here, set that to false. You can also turn off the little candle timer if you don't like it. Okay, just let it reload, and you'll see that the QR code is gone and the candle timer is gone. What else have I done? Let me just leave the VPS because I'm going to do the backtest on my laptop, so just give me a second to jump over to the PC. There we go. So this is another new feature that's been added. I've put trade summaries, more detailed trade summaries into the logs, okay? So each day when trade 1 and 2 close, it will actually print the results. So you can see the results here for yesterday, the 9th of December. So entry 1 was a win, okay? We can see the P&L in terms of money and percentage. You can see the profit in pips. We can see the risk reward. It also now tells you whether or not dynamic risk was actually triggered. So you can see that for trade 1, we did trigger dynamic risk. For trade 2, it wasn't triggered. Trade 2 was also a win. There we can see the P&L. There we can see the profit in pips. And there you can see the risk reward. It was a nice little one-to-one. I'm also working on a daily summary that's going to add these two together. And if one of the trades was skipped, it will also tell you why. Okay, so now that you've seen the new stuff, let me show you a couple of back tests so you've got an idea of what kind of performance you can expect with BlakBox. Okay, so here we are in the strategy tester. Let me just stretch this up a little bit. You can see I've loaded the latest version, which I've handily named Tester Summary Bug, which I've been fixing this morning. I've selected US dollar JPY. We're on a 1 minute chart, and I've just done pretty much the last year. So it's from the 1st of January 25 up until today, the 12th of December. So roughly a year. Just a little 1K account, okay? Let's just run a test on this. I'm going to run the balanced preset, okay? So this is risking 1% per trade. And I'm going to allow it to do the second entry. In fact, actually, no, I'm not. Let me just turn this off because I want to show you the new preset that I've created. So I'm going to test the balanced. It can only trade once per day, and everything else is standard. Let me just turn these off because we're in the tester. We don't need them. And then we'll run the test. I'll just head back to the journal. I'm just going to clear this log and start the test. Now, it should only take about 10-15 seconds. You can just watch it trade if you like. It might be slightly longer because I've got obviously the screen recorder running, but this is roughly a 12-month test. Now this is a stop loss strategy, as you know, and obviously that means it goes on sort of winning and losing streaks. You can see it's had a cracking year so far. Let's just jump over to the backtest results. So we can see trading once per day, drawdown of about 5.5–6%, and it's made 47.5% profit on the account. Profit factor 2.2. Win rate, which I'm not really bothered about, but it's 58% if you want to know. So you can see this is pretty good, okay? And that's a 1 year test. Now what I'm going to do is just show you the new preset, and then I'm going to look at a longer test, okay? So we'll do like a 5-year test, and we'll just see the difference as well. So let me jump back to the inputs then, and what I'll do is instead of setting balanced, I'm going to do new one. I'll give this a better name. This is just a setting I've literally just created at the weekend. So what I've basically done is I've done a load of tests at the weekend, and I've tried to optimize this a little bit more. So let's just start the new test and just see if I've made it any better. Now I haven't increased the risk or anything like that. I've just literally slightly tweaked the parameters of the test to see if I could get a little bit more out of it. You can see drawdown is higher, and the total net profit is also higher. So on the face of it, it doesn't look like I've done a particularly good job, but this is a 12-month period, okay? So when we look at the longer term tests now, the results should be quite different. So drawdown about 8%, profit 57, which is quite a bit more. The win rate, I'm not really bothered, it's down slightly, but still 54%. Profit factor, because there's not a great amount of trades, this will fluctuate quite wildly until you've got, hundreds of trades in here, and then it'll stabilize. So let's now do some long-term tests and just have a look at what BlakBox could actually achieve over a 5-year period. So I'm just going to head to settings, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the symbol. If you're going to test longer periods, you need to create a custom symbol. So you can see I've done that here, and I've downloaded some third-party tick data, which I cover in my course if you want to know how to do it. And I've got 10 years of data here, but the test will take quite a long time, so I'm just going to do a 5-year test, which takes us just around about the COVID period, 2020. So let me just head to, let's go to, what am I doing? Yeah, January 2020. And we'll start this on, let's start it here on the Sunday. And let's run that up until, in fact, the data doesn't go that far. I think it goes to the 3rd of December. So we'll run it to there. So roughly 5 years. I'm not going to change anything else. Okay, let's just head back to balanced. And we will run this test. Now this will take a little bit longer because obviously it's a much longer period. It also has to load the data into the tester. So we'll just stick the graph on. And what I'll do is I might just pause the video just while it loads this data for the first time, and then I'll restart it once it starts to trade. Okay, so it's just starting to trade now. And this has started from 2020. So this is going to trade through COVID. Okay, and this is going to trade through the US elections, and it's going to trade through Trump with his little tariff board and all the other crazy stuff that's happened in the last couple of years. And hopefully you'll get a good idea of the performance. Now remember, this is a tiny little 1K account. The only reason I chose 1K is because it's very easy to do the maths. If you've got 10K, 50K, 100K, easy for you to multiply 1K, okay, and work out what this potentially could have achieved for you and your account. So as you can see, it's got a very nice sort of upward curve to it. You can see there are some fairly decent losing streaks in there. This is a stop loss strategy. But what I like about it is the way that it always fights back, okay? So after a losing streak, because this strategy has a genuine edge, it will always fight back, and it tends to always make new highs. It's kind of strange because it's almost as if you can see support and resistance within the equity curve, which always fascinates me. You can see there's a clear level here where the account has struggled for some time to get through it, but then once it breaks, it's just going to go. And it's amazing to watch, okay? So it looks like this test is going to take about 2 minutes. What I'll do is I'll rerun this test again with the new settings, but let's just see how we get on first. So pretty much since Trump's been in, it's just been on a storm. And that's because this is a breakout strategy. What it loves is unexpected things to happen in the markets. And Trump is absolutely amazing for that, as you can see. So, you know, it had made a pretty significant amount of profit before then, but since Trump's been in, this thing is just incredible. So about 19% drawdown. Now, I don't think that's bad at all, considering what it's traded through. Don't forget, it's traded through COVID. Most systems actually failed entirely in COVID. Loads of algos just completely blew the accounts. 20%, well, 19% drawdown, I don't think is bad at all. Started with 1,000, it made almost 5,000 profit on the 1,000, okay? So huge gains. Win rate, not really bothered, 51%, okay? Profit factor about 1.4. You can see we've got almost 1,000 trades in there. So it's a pretty decent sample size, okay? So you can see this strategy has a genuine edge. So let's just remember these figures, okay? 19% drawdown, roughly 5x, and let's just run the next preset. So this is the one that I optimized, which I've just called new one. And I'm just going to run it exactly the same, okay? And we'll just see the differences. Now, I'm not sort of saying that balanced is better or worse than this. It's just a new preset that I've released. And I'm just trying to give you an idea of what's actually available within the algo. So this preset will be added very soon when I push the next update. There's a couple more that will be coming too. So this one is only trading once per day. I do have a version that will trade twice per day. Now, obviously that's twice the risk. So you can expect higher drawdown and higher profits. But you can see straight away this curve is looking a little bit different. And I do have another one which is going to look at a much shorter window in the morning to catch the morning breakout. And that can work for or against you, but it's pretty good. So I will add that into the algo as well. So we can see here we're just going through the big losing streak that we had previously, and we get to watch it recover now, as I'm sure it will. But I think this may have done a little bit better already, because I think equity was just touching about 5k back in 2022, and obviously it has a good few years to go. And this, I haven't increased the risk at all in this preset. It's still risking 1% per trade. I've literally just played around with the settings, changed some of the things that it's looking at. I wish I could tell you what I've done, but I can't, because I want to keep the strategy secret. But I've literally just tweaked the things that the algo is looking for, and it essentially is doing a better job now of identifying breakouts that are going to continue. I mean, so you can see that's about 10k in profit, and the curve looks very different. You can actually see the compounding is starting to kick in. You see that beautiful curve there. So let's just have a look at the back test. Drawdown slightly higher. Okay, it was 19 on the previous test, and we're now just under 24. However, we have made literally double the profit. Okay, win rate is a little bit lower. Again, I never bother with win rate. It's totally irrelevant. It's around about 50%. Profit factor isn't really changed. Slightly more trades, and that's because, as I said, I've tweaked some of the things that it's looking at. It's now accepting some trades that it wasn't in the previous settings, but the risk per trade remains the same. But crucially, we have quite literally doubled the profit for only a small increase in drawdown. In other words, it's only slightly riskier and it makes a load more profit, or rather it did make a load more profit in this test. Please remember that this is historical data, and just because these are the results that happened in the past, it's not guaranteed that this will happen in the future. But hopefully you should have a good idea of what this algo is actually capable of, okay? If you are interested in getting the algo, head over to the website. So it's blackboxalgo.com. Click here to register, and then you'll see the button where you can buy. Thanks, guys.